Business Casual, how the new project is great for everyday PMs. I'll be your host, Brian Quick. We're going to get started here. I've begun recording the meeting, so please keep in mind the meeting is being recorded and it will be available 48 hours after posting. Just a few housekeeping things before we begin. You'll notice that we're using GoToWebinar today, and all the audience is going to be muted throughout the presentation. But if you do have a question, please go ahead and submit it via the questions box located in the right side panel. We do have a moderator who will be monitoring the questions coming through from everyone as I'm speaking. And if there's anything that you would like us to recover or have a question that's pertinent to what we're covering at that point, please go ahead and ask it, and the moderator will bring it to my attention. And please submit the questions and comments via the questions panel only, and you don't have to keep them till the end. Just a reminder that the contents of this webinar contains intellectual property from Innovative E. No part of the presentation may be used in any other publication or for any purposes without express written consent. Today's presenters are going to be myself, Brian Quick, Director of Sales for Innovative E, and Mike Taylor, the President of Innovative E. We also have Pamela Melville, who's today's moderator. And so we'll get started. What is Project for the Web? You've heard a lot about it this week, and you probably received this notice from us, or you've been on LinkedIn with all of the commotion that's been going on this week as Microsoft's released Project for the Web. But what is it? How is it different from Microsoft's other project offerings? And what is Microsoft's vision for this tool? Project for the Web is a new application that's built on the Power Platform. And those of you who are not familiar with the Power Platform may be familiar with its components: Power BI, Microsoft Flow, and Power Apps. Of course, Power BI is a really democratization of business intelligence to everyday folks who just want to create and edit dashboards, really easy to use. And it can connect to most data sources, can combine data from multiple data sources. Microsoft Flow is an automated workflow integration solution that's trigger-based and can integrate with other systems. And Power Apps is a way to easily build business applications or extend those you already have. So it's a very powerful platform. And when the data from Project for the Web goes into that platform, you can envision of the things that you can do with it with the other three components of that platform. But it's all about really choosing the right tools that can evolve with you. And Microsoft has a large ecosystem in Office 365 that has different solutions for how to manage your work. Some of you may be managing work in Excel or using Office 365 Planner. And some of you may be using Project Online or Project Professional on your desktop. Well, Microsoft really saw a gap between what's going on in Excel and Planner and really official project management. And they're addressing a need and a gap in the market for the occasional project manager. Somebody who needs to get work done and needs to manage projects, but at maybe a lower complexity level, and is not a professional project manager. You may have heard reference to these folks as occasional project managers, everyday project managers, casual project managers, or citizen project managers. But whatever you call it, and some of you may include yourselves in this category, you really need an easy-to-use tool that's simple to get started. And some of you may think that Microsoft Project is just too much. It's too many options and too much tool in there. It can be a little bit daunting, especially if you're not a trained PMP. And then for those of you who are managing tasks in Excel, you realize that there's some shortcomings to that. It's not very collaborative. It doesn't have a scheduling engine built into it. And it really isn't designed for project management. So you're looking out on the market and you're saying, what can I use? I just want to get going. I just want to get self-organized and get started. And Microsoft's answer for that is Project for the Web. For those of you who are using Microsoft Planner, you probably noticed that it does fall short in a couple of areas, mainly in the project management space. And some of the feedback that we've been getting from Microsoft Planner is, hey, how about a Gantt chart view? Or wouldn't it be nice if you could have subtasks? Or how come it doesn't have an actual scheduling engine so things push out when other things get late? It's because it's just designed for a simple task management tool. People love it. And it's probably the most requested, most used app in Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft really took this information, and the same team that builds Microsoft Planner actually created the new project for the web. Modern work management can take on many phases of evolution at your company. Some of you may be working as individuals in work groups. Some of you may be in more project-driven teams, or some of you may be in a project management office. But whether or not you're starting simple, or if you're starting to get into a need for some additional capabilities, you might find some of these results you're seeking familiar. So if you're really starting at a basic level, you really want to improve team productivity. You want visibility into your work and projects. But as you evolve, you kind of want to understand who's doing what, not just assigning work to people. You want to understand the flexibility to replace and swap projects with others, as is the case in most organizations when needs change or you want to respond to the market. You want to be able to align projects to strategies. And then at the top end of the scale, you want to be able to measure benefits, like return on investment. And everywhere in between, this is all work management. It's just a matter of how complex it is and how mature it is. And so as your work and complexity increases, and so does your solution app governance formalization. So you're going to become a little bit more stringent, and you're going to have more requirements around what kind of tool are we using for what as you evolve up the cycle. So the tool sets that Microsoft offers, some of the ones at the lower end of the scale are, of course, some of you are using Microsoft Teams. You're using Planner. You're trying to use easy to use project management apps. Enter project for the web. But as you move up the scale, you're looking at, hey, what are my do-it-yourself app options with the Power Platform? How can I use that to extend my work management capabilities? And then you may be looking at third-party applications that may be hosted in Azure or within the ecosystem. And then as you grow in complexity, perhaps you're going to be developing custom applications, and you're going to be doing that with Azure DevOps in concert with the Power Platform. But whatever the case, Microsoft wants to make sure that you're staying on their platform to manage all kinds of different work, and that the work that's being done on that platform is able to be captured in a meaningful way so that your organization can make good decisions about that data. And moreover, that'll be captured on a private, secure platform, and that you won't be all over the internet looking at software as a service applications that are going to do this for you.
Hey Brian, this is Mike. So that's really good. So what you're saying there is that with the project for the web, kind of the gap that it's filling is not only for the kind of more casual citizen project manager, but on the Power Platform, it can actually scale and grow as you need to grow it. Building it out, Power users could build Power Apps to do more with it, and then you could grow it on up to maturity level as well, right?
That's exactly right, Mike. The game's changed here. We as partners are used to selling a specific tool that's for project management and portfolio management called Project Online. We're used to talking to you folks about that. What's really changed here is that the platform has become the project portfolio management solution. And there's so many different ways that we can get the data in. And we're no longer segmenting the users out into, are you a project manager or not? We just want the data. We want to make sure that your work management is being done on the platform in a meaningful way, regardless of a level of maturity. And then extending that, to your point, through the Power Platform and making it all work together. That's where the magic happens.
So you don't actually have to progress up that scale. Like, in the past with just a product like Project Online, you kind of had to tell people you need to reach a level of maturity. You can have individual work groups who work at what is a lower level of maturity or lower level of complexity, and they never have to progress. But other folks who need that higher level of complexity can continue to evolve in that direction. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty powerful stuff. And that's why our vision at Innovative E is to empowering individuals and groups with work management freedom while providing unparalleled enterprise visibility, agility, and control. So we embracing the Microsoft vision. We want people to use the tools that they want and have executives get the results that they need. We don't want people to have to force them into a tool that they feel is uncomfortable or too much just to capture that activity. That's the real beauty of Project for the Web and the way we see it. And so without further delay, I'm going to switch over to demonstration, and I'm really going to show you guys what this thing can do. If I'm in Microsoft Office 365, this is what it looks like when I'm come in the front door. Probably pretty familiar with most of you on the call. What I'm going to do is just select Project here. And that's going to pull up the Project Home. For those of you who are used to using Project Home for your PWA projects, you'll notice that there's going to be a new entry here for blank project. And that's going to launch something for Project for the Web. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that button. And I'm off and running. I've already created a project schedule, and it's going to load on the screen, and I'm going to give it a name. It's now called Untitled Project, and I'm just going to head and click on that, and I can call it whatever I want. So I'm going to call it Webinar Demo Project. I'm the project manager, and I have a start date. I'm going to push that start date out a little bit to Monday. And I'm off and running. I can get started real easily and quickly using Project for the Web. I can add new tasks. For example, initiation, planning, execution, quality assurance, and closure. Whatever tasks you want to add, you just go ahead and type them in really quickly. I'm already building a project plan. Now, with the power of Microsoft Project for the Web is that I can extend this to others in a group. So group management, for example. So if I'm over here, I can X out of that, and then I see something called group members. I can create a new group, or I can add it to an existing group. And when I do that, I can share my project plan with others with a click of a button. So if I added this to an existing group, I can select that internal group to my company, and I'm going to call it Innovative E Project Demo Group. I'm going to go ahead and add this project plan to that group. Now others in my group can see my plan, and I can see my group members right here. Now I can assign tasks to others in my group. So I can go ahead and assign this task to myself, but I can go ahead and assign this task to Owen, and so on and so forth. I can set the duration of my task really easily here, 1 day. I can set this one to 2 days, this one to 3 days, this one to 1 day, etc. I'm also able to add certain other columns. So this was one of the most requested things in Planner, is adding other columns that I might want to see on a typical project grid, sometimes referred to as a work breakdown structure. So I can add percent complete. I can go ahead and add dependents before and depends on after. So I'm going to go ahead and depends on, and I'm going to go ahead and add a start date and a finish date. Notice that I'm starting to build a project schedule out, and it looks and feels like a project schedule, but it was just a whole lot easier to do than it was before. So if I want to set my dependencies, I can set, for example, number 3 on number 2. And I can set number 4 on number 3. If I want to create a subtask, I can make something a subtask of something else. So there's an ellipse button here, and I can make planning a subtask of initiation. Notice how it took away the assign to because summary tasks don't get direct assignments. I'm going to go ahead and reassign myself to execution. Now, what's cool about the new project for the web is not only how easy it is to use, but it's basically how well you can visualize it in other ways. So if I have a task board, for example, I have one click and I get to the task board. If I want to see things that way, I can go ahead and add things to the board and move them from not started to in progress. That makes it 50% done. If I want to move something to completed, I go ahead and do that visually as well. Now you can see how basically a team could interact with this in real time because all the members of the team in this group have the ability to go into this project schedule and make changes. Co-authoring. So if somebody else were to go into here and make a change to the grid, I would see that in real time. If I go into the timeline area here, notice that my dependencies are showing visually. What I can also do is I can move things out with a click and a drag. So notice how easy it is to get things done with Project for the Web and make changes to my project schedule. Now, I can also create new dependency relationships using this feature. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the grid. I'm going to assign a duration of closure. Now it has a date associated with it. I'm going to flip back to the timeline. Notice how that is basically happening before quality assurance. And now I'm going to create a relationship that's going to create a predecessor relationship there. It's very simple to do. Click and drag, and you're off and running. I can zoom in and zoom out of my Gantt accordingly. And basically, that's it, folks. Real simple, real easy to use. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip back over. Yes, sir.
I think we have a quick question. Somebody wanted to know how many levels of subtasks can be added in project. I think the answer is 1 right now.
Levels. Hi, everybody. Excuse me. It's Owen Callan. The level of subtasks is you can go up to 10 deep.
Oh, you can go 10? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I've got 3 here.
Yeah, there you go.
You can go up to 10. Thanks, Owen.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Owen.
Now I'm going to show you a completely baked out schedule using this, but instead of showing it to you natively in Office 365, I'm going to show it to you within the context of Microsoft Teams, because most of you might use it that way. And so I have a team called Innovative E Project Demo that's connected to the same group that I was in before. And what I have here is I have conversations that are going on with that team. In that channel, I have files that I'm working on. I have other apps in here like a wiki, but I also have something called Project Plan. So I included an app in here in a tab that pulls in Project for the Web and my completely baked out schedule. And so what you can see here is I have other folks assigned to these tasks. I have a larger project schedule with a lot of things in it. What I can do inside Teams is I can expand this out a little bit so that I'm using full screen with the full capability of Project for the Web available inside Microsoft Teams. I have my board view, I have my timeline, and I can go ahead and I can add things and make changes to this project plan in real time, and other people will be able to see them as well. And what I haven't done here is I haven't really hooked up these tasks to be dependent on one another. So I'm going to go in my timeline. I'm going to sort over here to where these tasks are located. And I'm going to draw a parallel between the first tasks and the second. Notice how I'm still able to click and drag that across and make that connection. And it made the connection. And so now those tasks are associated with one another as dependencies. So if I go back in the grid, another way to do it would be to scroll over to my depends on field and it actually provides me suggestions for what it should depend on. So I'm going to make it go depend on management view, and I'm going to have this one depend on create business case, and this one is going to depend on schedule status meetings. So I'm building out my schedule, and I'm doing that entirely within Teams. One other way you might want to use Modern Project interface here for Project for the Web is to do some sprint planning in your business. Now, some of you may be doing agile activities or agile work, and that's probably better suited for a dev tool if it's for development purposes. But if you're doing business agile or portions of a project schedule that are not really dev related, then Project for the Web can be a really good boost for you guys. So if I sort this by bucket, notice I can create whatever buckets I want and name them accordingly. So by naming them for sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3, I'm able to actually sort my tasks, move them into various sprints, and complete those tasks right here in a sprint board. Notice it plays a nice little sound when I complete something. It's very satisfactory, very satisfying. So you can add the buckets here. You can do some real simple sprint planning, add things from the backlog over to your respective sprints. And the way I simply set that up was with these buckets within the board view of Project for the Web. And so what we have here is basically a complete demonstration of Project for the Web. We hope you'll enjoy it. We think you will. I've got a couple of other things I wanted to cover. Were there any other questions that were voiced there, Mike?
Yeah, Brian, there was a question whether or not you could give, if there's an option to give group members view-only access.
Not at this time. So that's
Right.
a good point. I think everybody who's in the group would have access to the plan entirely. So
Right.
that's a good feedback mechanism there, and we'll make sure that that gets to the right place. But another way that you can provide feedback directly when you get Project for the Web in your organization is to click the feedback button and say, I have a suggestion, and it sends you to the user voice for project. And I've already been putting some things in there myself, and I know they listen because they respond to it very quickly. And we know they listen as evidenced by the fact that they created this entire application with feedback from Planner.
Right. Hey, we've got a couple other questions here. So the next one is it possible to see multiple projects at a time?
That's a really good question. And let me show you a couple of other ways that we can do that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to my regular view here in Teams. And remember when we said that you can extend this out to other applications and that PPM is the platform. So very important to recognize that. What I've done here is I've created portfolio dashboard, and that portfolio dashboard is connected to all of the data from all the respective projects that are going into Project for the Web. And so what I have here, I'll go through this. This is an out-of-the-box dashboard provided by Microsoft, and you can load it into your solution and make that available as another tab in Teams. And so what I have here is all of these projects that I've been working on in Project for the Web, including the one I just demonstrated. There's 21 in total, and it basically summarizes all of the different statistics associated with those projects. So I can look at them side by side. I have start finish dates, progress. I have task count, overdue tasks. Really every way that you'd like to see this, and you can filter it by projects that are not in progress or not started or not started. You can filter it by project manager. There's a portfolio timeline view, and that allows you to see like a Gantt chart view of all of your different projects in one place with actuals against the planned work. You have portfolio milestones, which are not populated in my particular report because I haven't marked any as such, but I believe it uses zero duration tasks to consider what a milestone is.
Yep,
and then,
I think that's right.
Yeah, and portfolio status report. This is something actually we created at Innovative E, which is a simple project status report page. I'd be happy to talk to you about that and look at how we can maybe customize that for your company. And then we have resource dashboard. So if you want to take a look at resources, remember I'm assigning work to people, so then I can tell how much work they have assigned to them, what progress they've made at that work, what projects they're assigned work on. So simple resource management becomes possible. and see all of our assignments across the board here to tell what people are working on. You know, a lot of folks talk to us about resource management, capacity planning, and so forth, and that can be pretty complex. But at a very basic level, if you guys just want to find out who's working on what and how long it's going to take, that can be done very easily with Project for the Web. You can look at task overview. What are the tasks that are going on? What projects are they part of? Are they late? Project timeline. So very powerful reporting coming out right here in this out-of-the-box Power BI dashboard for Project for the Web. And I think the best way to visualize that, of course, you could go over to Power BI and load it up, but the best way to visualize that would be right here in the scenario that I've created in Microsoft Teams. One of the other ways that we've extended Project for the Web is by loading up this simple issues list. I actually decided to load up an issues list, and I wanted to use Planner and see if that would basically be sufficient for an issues list in the basic sense. Of course, here we're not capturing the score of these issues. We're not trying to figure out, you know, and float them to the top on an executive level and create visibility on a portfolio level. We're not trying to track risks that become issues and the relationships between them. We're just trying to do simple issue tracking using Microsoft Planner alongside of our project plan. And so what I've done here is basically created an issues list. I've got the issue. I've got this progress, its priority, a couple of notes on it. And I've actually gone ahead and categorized. I've created these categories here for the different types of issues I could have, like resource-based issues or schedule-based issues. And I'm flagging this one as a resource and a schedule risk. Issue. And then the shipping delays is another one I've had, and I'm coordinating with Owen on that one. It sent him an email when I assigned the issue to him, and he was able to reply directly to the email with some comments, which were then captured right here in Planner itself. So really flexible. Again, if folks just want to work a certain way, the solution is pretty flexible to allow them to do that. Then we can have some basic reporting and charts around these issues and so forth. So using Planner as an issues list, probably a good start for most of you. Maybe you're doing it already. The point is, this allows you to get out of Excel land, which is what I like to call it. Basically, you've got a project plan. You're not going to use Microsoft Project because it's too much tool. So you're resorting to Excel. Excel is not a scheduling engine. It doesn't tell you when things are pushing other things out, and it's non-collaborative. So give Project for the Web a try, and we'd love to talk to you about your specific scenarios and how you might want to use it. Maybe you need help focusing on how to get teams really humming for you for project management. Maybe you just want to talk about what's pros and cons of using Project for the Web versus some other tools like Project Online for portfolio management, for example. We'd love to talk to you about that. And so going back to the deck here just briefly, let's talk about next steps.
Hey, Brian, we do have a couple more questions. You want to take those now?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a question here that says, can you bring a project to from Project Professional and to or from Project for the Web? So I'm
okay.
And David, I assume you mean the desktop there.
Yep, probably. So as of right now, there's no way to create a project in Project on the desktop and then save it so that it's viewable in Project for the Web and vice versa. But if you have a project in Project right now that you'd like to try to use in Project for the Web, that would be a perfect use case. We would just have to basically recreate the project in Project for the Web or come up with some other creative way to get it in there.
Now, if it's in Project, if they're using Project Professional and they have Project Online, there are ways to pull data from both of those and combine them, right?
There are. So at Innovative E, as a partner, a Microsoft Gold Project Portfolio Management partner, if you would like for some folks to use Project for the Web because maybe they're more everyday project managers in your project management scenario, maybe you have a formal PMO and then you have other folks that just need to get things done, but you want to capture that within the overall portfolio and the reporting that we showed, we can help you do that. There's not a good out-of-the-box way of doing that right now, but it's something that we could do for you quite easily. So let's talk about it.
And there are ways that you can actually tie specific tasks from a project to the new project for the web, right? Using the roadmap feature.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't talk much about roadmap today, but roadmap is a way to visualize things going on in your overall portfolio. And coming soon to roadmap is the ability to pull in project for the web projects alongside of other more formal projects going on in Project Online. So look for that soon.
Right. We have another question here, Brian. Could you please advise how I can get the Power BI content pack for Project for the Web?
Power BI content pack for Project for the Web is available on GitHub, and we'll be happy to send you a link to that with our follow-up that Pamela will be sending out. If we just want to make note of that, we can put that in the follow-up, but it is publicly available.
Very good. And then Kimberly said that this is great. It's what her division needs. So we'll be happy to talk to you later about that, Kimberly. Are there other questions that you want to see if anyone has any other questions now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's normal that we just open the mic, or do we want to have folks type it in?
I usually just have them type it in. It's good enough. So if anyone wants to, if there's other questions at this time, that'd be great. Just put it in the question box. Maybe you want to start going through your next steps. I kind of interrupted you there.
Yeah. No, great. So as you're typing your questions, please type away. We have some suggested next steps. So as a Microsoft Gold partner in Project Portfolio Management, we would like to talk to you more about how we might be able to use this or help you use it at your company. So we'd like to do a personalized demonstration for you, maybe get some other members of your team together, get on a Teams share, and let's talk about how we might be able to use it for you. We do offer consulting services to help you get started, and we can do things that are not completely out of the box. For example, as referenced by the question of blending together project data from other sources with this, or using kind of having a multi-skill approach, if you will, or multi-maturity approach to project management in your organization. Some of the common challenges we hear from people are, hey, once I've started getting my project management in place, what about resource management? What about financial management? What about a bimodal PMO where I'm doing agile and waterfall and I need to capture it all up? Those are the kind of things we specialize in, and we'd be happy to talk to your organization about them. So please follow up with us after the call. And with that, Mike, were there any other questions that came up?
I'm not seeing any others. That's the last one I saw.
All right, folks. Well, we just want to thank you very much for your time. We are open to further discussion, as noted, so please contact us for further information. Find us on Facebook. You can find us at LinkedIn. And Mike, you have your information on there in LinkedIn, so if you get anybody emailing you, let me know.
I will. I'll forward it on over to you.
All right, great. Or innovative-e.com. Thanks for all your time today, and have a great weekend, everybody.